Hello, my name is Mia Harvey, and in honor of Homecoming 2020, I'll be playing Scotland the Brave for you.
Hello Fighting Scots. Happy Homecoming. I'm so glad to see you on camera. This year we are celebrating Homecoming differently because we've faced so many challenges because of COVID-19, because of the online modality, and because of the fact that many are at home celebrating. In the past, we celebrated Homecoming by gathering together, having major events, interacting with one another. This year, that's not possible. However, I encourage you to participate virtually, online, via Zoom, and do everything you can to celebrate our Fighting Scout spirit.
Homecoming is probably the most exciting weekend of the year. There's two holidays around here, in my opinion, that's Homecoming and 4th of July. That's when all the family comes into town, that's when all the friends come into town. To the community, it means it's a time to come together, which is super important nowadays. So the way we can do that, whether it's virtually or whether it's in smaller groups or whether it's at your own houses, whatever we can do is what we're going to want to do.
Everybody circles that date on their calendar. If you're a resident of the town or if you are an alumni or a student, like that's the day, the weekend that everybody circles. And it's not just a university event, it is a community event. The parade, you have every age from toddlers to 90-year-old people lining the streets of Edinboro to participate in this event.
It's the gathering of friends and family. When I say friends and family, that goes back. It could be people that have encountered Edinboro once versus people who have been familiar with the university for 60+ years.
Just being at Edinboro in general, it gives me chills when I get to go back to the university. It's a place I adore. It's where I grew from being a boy into a man.
When I think about Homecoming, mostly I think about my time as an alum actually versus my time in school. And as an elected official, I've been in many parades out there for Homecoming, and I love the camaraderie, I love the pageantry of the parade, and just seeing everyone in their tartan plaid. It's just a heartwarming event to see everybody come together, the students that are there and those who graduated for many, many years from that great school.
Homecoming means so much to me, honestly. I started at Edinboro in 1990, and I had the pleasure of actually organizing Homecoming for Mr. Sturja and Jolie Fetters and Cindy Hawes back in the day. So I got introduced to Homecoming in a completely different way than most alum because I was organizing the events. So for me, it was just amazing to see how the energy of Edinboro just really came together, from planning the bonfires to the parade and just everything else. As I became an alum, it turned into an entirely different focus for me. It was all about my friendships, all about the people that were coming back. I haven't missed a Homecoming in 29 years.
Homecoming's an amazing opportunity for friends and alumni to get back together. It's the one time of year when we can really get in touch with folks that sometimes we don't get a chance to see every day or even talk to throughout the entire year. And so it's a special time in Edinboro.
Homecoming has given us an opportunity to show the town off to the people that we care about the most. So every year we invite friends up to participate in homecoming, to come enjoy the parade, to come enjoy the festivities, to come tailgate at the football game. And homecoming is one of our best examples of how we come together, working together, and have fun and enjoy the resources the community has to offer. And for our small little quaint town to have thousands of people lining the streets is really impressive. And to know that it's associated with the university that I've come to enjoy so much also makes it super, super important.
You know, it's a real sense of pride, I think, obviously for the university, but for the community as a whole and for the region as a whole. And so the parade, as you go down and you see all those people lined up who've come to just celebrate this university, it's really one of my favorite parades. I've been in a lot of parades, and it's one of my favorite parades. The time of year, I think, is part of it, and just the variety of people that come together, young, old, and from all different walks of life.
It's a family affair, I think. You get to see older alumni bring their children back that maybe are students, and they get to walk them around this place and say, hey, I think my name's carved in that booth over there. Or, you know, this is where I met your mother on the dance floor, or this booth out front, we had lunch together. And you know, you get that a lot. I've seen everybody and anyone you could think of come through the doors that were students here and now are alumni. So it's great to catch up with people. I may not know their names, I may only know what they drink, because that's how I know people sometimes. But you know, it's always good to see people that you haven't seen in a while, and some people that are of an age where maybe they're not on Facebook, so you don't really see them all that often, or catch up and see how they're doing.
Really, as an alum, it brings out the pride in Edinboro of our community, not only this campus community, but also the Edinboro community at large. But seeing all of these people gathered, again, just reinforces that friends and family come together, you know, positive event, happy times, good times, times that have just gone by way too quickly, honestly. You know, I was here as a student at one point in time. It just seems like yesterday, although it was many, many years ago. But every time that homecoming comes around, it kind of brings back that burning spirit again that I had as an 18-year-old when I was here as a freshman. So very good times for me.
You can connect with old friends, you connect with old professors sometimes, and meet some of the new students. So it really is that blending of all of those different age groups and people that, for me, is the most special part about homecoming.
I think everybody's favorite moment at homecoming is after the parade, maybe even after the football game, when we're all hanging out at a location or at a house and the bagpipers are making the rounds. You get a private bagpiping concert in your yard for the cost of a beer. I mean, what more could you ask for? As a student, I was involved in fraternity. So for homecoming for us, for my group, that was a day in which many of my brothers came back. Fraternity dates back to the late 70s. So we've had brothers that have come back that are, you know, maybe 70s or late 80s initiates. So for me, kind of waking up, seeing this group, many of them which would sometimes, you know, stay with me or what have you, it just, again, brought back that family atmosphere. We planned our day out, whether it was, you know, tailgating before the game, participating in the parade, you know, making breakfast, or, you know, going to some of the community breakfast events. Kegs and eggs were a pretty big one from years ago. But just, you know, just positive memories and times, and you get excited about the day because you knew that the football game was always going to be a good one. You'd see many more people that you haven't seen in a number of years. So just excited. You wake up that morning excited.
Being Greek during homecoming, I think, at least back in the 90s, really took on a different entire entity. So for us, it was all about rallying together, having a homecoming queen, competitions, being able to support each other, getting to know other organizations with mixers, and just having a really great time. And honestly, it taught us a lot. When I look back now, being able to go to a barn and go with a bunch of girls, there was so many of us, and join with a fraternity and build something like an entire float, it taught us a lot. And I don't think that most people really realize the things that it taught, but I can pump a float like no other. And I've learned how many times that it takes to spray hairspray all over that chicken wire. But really it was all about teamwork. Sure, we had fun, we had our parties, we got together and did so many amazing things. But we really got to know each other because we were working so hard towards that end goal of getting to homecoming and the parade and seeing who was going to win homecoming.
When you say Edinboro Homecoming, I think it's crisp fall air, it's the excitement, it's the bands, it's the music, it's the energy. It's really about the energy. I think that's the thing that really comes to mind in that community. It is a sense of energy that really pervades throughout the whole year. It culminates in homecoming.
The homecoming gods must have blessed me because the parade route turns right on this corner, so it's a perfect vantage point for people to watch. And then, you know, when the band usually stops in front of here and plays Scotland the Brave, and it's a very, very unique event, and you know, everybody in town and the university obviously enjoys it equally as much.
The morning of homecoming is different, and you wake up and you know, the people are walking, the parade is going, and you see the alumni, guys that have played in previous years. You see people that have come back with their Borough shirts that you don't recognize because they're from different time frames and areas. And it's just there's something in the air. It's just different. And when you get to step on the field, the band's playing, and you know, the fans are. It's obviously a bigger crowd, and you really want to put on for the hometown and put on for the alumni that are back, and you want to make Edinboro proud. And it's just a great feeling to go out there with your brothers, and then obviously come back afterwards and get to talk to the alumni and the guys that have been through the things you've done, and that you're asked to carry on the tradition that they started as well.
It's the lifeblood of the program from an alumni standpoint, because that's always one game a year that you circle on the calendar, and it just has a little extra pop to it. You know, guys get excited. It's an opportunity for former players and alumni to come back, to socialize with everybody, kind of relive the glory years, quote unquote. And it's an opportunity to network and just relationships. You know, as a coach, when your former players come back and then you get an opportunity to catch up with them and see what they're doing professionally and how they've gone from 18-year-old young men to 20s, 30s, 40-year-old men with their families and kids, it's really special. Homecoming has a different feel to it. It creates extra juice. It just has a different feel, like we talked about. There's a buzz, you know, to use that term. There's a lot of energy, and there's another opportunity that you get to meet some people that have had your jersey number on and share experiences with you. So you know, as a player, you certainly don't want to go out and disappoint the guy who blood, sweat, tears in that number. You've got to put a show on for him and represent the program. And it's always about the program. And here at Edinboro, that's what we're trying to build, is that stock, that buying in of, hey, this is Edinboro, the football program. It's not Jake Nolf, the coach, or the player. It's about the entire picture of the guys that have laid the groundwork and foundation for the guys that are currently on the roster. So it means a lot.
The homecoming was a really, really big thing for my fraternity. So just, again, seeing the brothers that were coming back to campus, more than likely we would have a social event that evening, so we're preparing for that, inviting brothers up from various local campuses, just all of the excitement that's centered around that. And then depending on which team we were playing in football, we may, you know, rival with that chapter of my fraternity. I know IUP and Slippery Rock come to mind right away. So we had, you know, kind of an interfraternal rivalry going on there. But that evening, more than likely, we'd get a chance to fellowship together.
As a student, you plan for homecoming almost the entire year. As a member of a fraternity, you go from homecoming to Greek week to start planning for homecoming again. And it is it's a key point in the Edinboro experience for Greeks and non-Greeks. And I think it's one of those times where everybody comes together to celebrate the beauty of Edinboro. Fall is one of the most amazing times, and I think when folks come back to Edinboro each year, it really is like coming home for so many of them.
It's where I met great mentors that I still talk to daily. You know, Coach Browning, Scott Browning, Coach Henson, Mike Yursich, you know, just people that I truly, truly adore and that have helped me so much, and so much so that the lessons that I learned then and who I became then has continued to help me flourish to this day today.
Homecoming's my favorite holiday. You can ask any of my friends and family. You know, as I was driving up from Pittsburgh today, passing Edinboro, I was thinking about just everything, so many memories over 29 years. But I do believe that for me, it's not about the individual homecoming, it's about the feeling I get. For me, coming back to Edinboro is like coming home. And I know it seems sort of corny because it is homecoming, but I literally get goosebumps when I think about coming back to Edinboro because it was such a special time in my life. I met so many amazing friends that I'm still friends with today, mentors that I still see, professors that I still think about all the lessons that they taught me. And so for me, it's more not necessarily about the event, it's more about the specific meaning of homecoming, which is just coming home.
I'm just thankful to be a part of Edinboro University, be a part of the homecoming tribute video, and I'm thankful for my time at Edinboro. You will be blown away by as the people, and you can go live in New York City with everything around you, but if you don't have great people around you, you're not going to have a very good time. But I promise you, you're going to have a great time at Edinboro because the people are outstanding.
We actually made a Phantom of the Opera float, and I think that me and my friends, my sorority sisters, personally made like hundreds of tissue wrapped roses to put in the vases all over that float.
Fall 1997, Kappa Delta Rho and the Alpha Sigma Tau sorority built the Phantom of the Opera float, complete with a rotating phantom mask and a chandelier that was lifted and dropped onto the floor. Several of us rode inside of the float, inside of the mask area as the float went down Main Street, and there we were peeking outside to watch all the onlookers. I recall that being a big year for all of the organizations involved, but my memories of riding in that parade underneath the cap and the mask, I think was one of my most fond Edinboro homecoming memories.
From everything I've heard, this is an extravagant event here at Edinboro and Sox Harrison Stadium. From the parade in the morning to the social gatherings to the entire day.
Favorite homecoming memory is when I decided to do a clam bake at my house. So 8 a.m. kegs and eggs, 10 a.m. parade with the kids and the coffee and the donuts and all that fun stuff. And then it was over to the tailgate at the football game. And then it was back to my house where I had the fire still roaring and I put the big clam pot on and we did a clam bake. And I think I brought some over to Pat at the hotel. He had some shrimp. And then the lady that runs the Chinese food place came over and had some clams, and then anyone else that walked by was invited in my backyard for a feast. So that first time we did that was definitely an important memory for me.
My senior year, we all went over to Coach Scott Browning's house and we all linked arms and we were waiting on the announcement of us being in the playoffs or not. And I just remember sitting there and us all kind of just like bouncing our toes on the ground and just kind of like looking back and forth like, we're going to find out here in a minute. And sure enough, it flashed on the screen. Edinboro was going to play East Stroudsburg in the first round of the playoffs, and we all kind of just screamed and jumped in the air and hugged. And it was a great memory. I know that wasn't a game, but just us getting in the playoffs at that time was a truly, truly special time.
For years, my wife works at Erie Gymnastics, and they always have the gymnasts in the parade. So when my daughter was born, my wife would walk in the parade with her in the stroller, and then when she got to walk, she could walk with her. And then, so a good memory for me is when they would stop out in front of the bar and I would take them flowers out and everybody would go, oh, that's so cute. And then, so that, not just one memory, but, we did that for many years and it was, I always look forward to that. I'm Aaron Gass, Mayor of Edinboro, and I'm here to say, go Borough.
Go Borough.
Go Borough. Happy homecoming.